Right now, I don't qualify. I used to rent the land back to mom and dad. They did row crops, but I can't generate the $2,500. Currently, my daughter and my nephew have livestock on there for a cow-calf operation, trying to enhance the younger groups. But the income is my nephew's. It does not go against me. I'm trying to do something nice for him, so it does not show up on my IRS tax return. I can't show $2,500 income. And then I also wanted to bring up, I attached a map to my plea, I guess, with some comparable properties that are closer to my place in Perry Township, not in La Valley. Even bare ground that sold within the last year, which is well below what your tiered system was. My biggest concern is the land. Last year it jumped up, doubled last year, and then you more than doubled again this year. I did not plead my case last year because my father had passed away and I had other things going on there. So those are my biggest concerns. I also have wet ground in my pasture. We converted it from row crops to pasture ground because of the wetness. I have had water in my basement, but I'm not in a floodplain. I'm less than a quarter of a mile from a feedlot, so it's not exactly ideal ground with the feedlot. I mean, it's family ground. I would like Donnie to say a few things, because like I said, I'm in a fog right now, and I know I'm going all over the place and jumping like every which direction, so I do apologize for that. I wish I could have been more put together, but I'm...
You're fine, you're fine.
You're good.
I've seen Don sitting back there wondering why he's here.
He's
so-
used to-
I didn't know if I was going to make it. My plane landed at 1:30, and I literally went from the airport to shower to get here because I was afraid I was going to miss, and I couldn't do the call-in because I didn't know if I would be able to answer the phone on the airplane. And I called and requested a couple
You're doing fine.
different things, so I just apologize. I'm just frazzled.
You're
so.
just
Madam
fine.
Chairman is used to Commissioner Schmidt and Commissioner Poppins sitting next to him. So she's used to fog.
So,
I'm not used to Don being here and not coming up and saying
so
something.
I always have something to
I
say.
didn't know. I didn't know if this was good or bad.
If I
but
can, Madam
Mom,
Chair, yeah.
anybody else that I had to kind of help me out was busy today, so I just relied on Donnie. He's my dad's cousin, so.
All right.
If I may,
Go,
Madam
you
Chair.
go ahead.
And I'm familiar with this property, obviously. And this is raising a question to me that the state, I don't think, took into consideration. Family members living on and parceling off. I do think we need to visit with our legislators and look at that. This is the second one where if it had been, it's all family.
Yeah.
And we've got to make a correction to this.
We are.
And I do think, though, and Donnie, you can work with her, it doesn't have to show that the income goes to them, it just has to show that it can generate.
Sounds creative, Mike.
It is very creative, and I'm here to be creative.
No, it does,
It had to be on
One
my,
at-
on
let's-
my tax return.
One
I
at a
was told
time.
when
That's what I'm clarifying.
it specifically discredits any, like if you're an association member of, like if you're exchanging money between someone that lives in the home or
Okay.
is in conjunction with the operation of the property, they can't exchange money between each other. It says that in the law.
Okay.
So I understand what you're saying. There are a lot of folks who previously were classed as ag are no longer ag because of something like that. you know?
All I can say, for the $2,500, that if tax-wise, you will save more than what you have to pay in taxes in the assessment of it.
I understand that.
Yeah,
I
so-
can't show it on my tax return when it's the kids' cows.
Yeah, I'm just saying there are options, and Donnie, we'll,
Your children's cows.
It's my nephew, so it's not mine, it's my nephew. Like I said, it's a family
Charge
operation.
them rent, have them
Yeah,
pay back
lease
in steak.
agreement.
You can figure it out, you know?
we're here not to,
Yeah.
because on 10 acres, it can generate $2,500.
I understand that, I just don't want to
I know.
penalize the kids when I'm trying to encourage them to go
Oh.
into agriculture.
Very good.
Very good.
Understood. Don, go ahead.
She did a very good job. She's been a nervous wreck. We met at church and that, and she said, I can't believe this, I can't believe this. Let me look at it. I took one look at this and I just about fell off the chair myself. The comparison, Brett Merkel's property's been coming up, those 5 acres. Oh, I know exactly where they're at. There's a house that's being built on there right now. That piece of property, there's a quarter there, I think, has been trying to be sold for at least 3 or 4 years, and nobody's evidently bought it. So Brett evidently bought it, and now he's selling off the housing eligibilities. How in the heck can you compare a bare piece of ground with a 10-acre, what you're seeing up there? If you move out into the country, it takes you at least 3 to 4 acres. That's got to go with the house. By the time you put in a grove, by the time you put your driveways, your septic system, everything, you need at least 3 or 4 acres just to complement that house. So now all of a sudden we're telling us, oh, there's 2 acres out there worth $65,000. Okay, 3, 4 acres are automatically go to the house. She's got 10, so that leaves her 4 acres, 5 acres left out there. Tell me which 2 acres are worth $65,000 because she wants to sell them off. Because you know, land's selling for more than what the assessed value is. True assessed value is material. It's got to be tangible. That's not, $65,000 an acre ground is not tangible. If it is, tell me which 2 acres are $65,000, because like I said, she wants to sell them off. Because we never assess it more than what it can sell for. Who's going to buy it? Because she don't have a housing eligibility. She's not allowed to have one. So you're telling me that there's 2 acres out there worth $65,000 an acre. There's a fence line out there. And on one side of the fence, her mom is paying $2,450 assessed value. And on the other side, she's going to pay $65,000? How unjust can this be, people? How unjust can this be? It's agriculture. I work with her brother. I've been down there. Mike, you know the situation.
I know the
Jim-
situation.
Jim, you know what it is.
Yep.
Well,
She-
since
she's
they know
gonna-
what it is,
I-
what do you guys want?
If I can.
I know you get
I'm
it.
gonna
Let me-
answer,
just-
I'll answer, because
Okay.
I know exactly where this problem is, and it's because it's family and it gets separated. The $65,000 an acre is, the 2 acres is where the house sits.
You can't sell that. You cannot sell
No,
that
but
just an
that's-
acre because the house is sitting on there.
No, I
What are you
know
gonna do,
that.
raise the house up and sell the 65
Yeah, I-
acres?
Using the.
That she's using the 265,000. You know as well as I know, these land values, small parcels have gone unbelievable. It's unjust, it's unfair to these people that have lived here their lifetimes, family generations. But it's equalization. What I strongly suggested before is it can qualify to have a Carla, just for instance, can you do the number for me if it falls under the ag?
30 grand, just do 3 grand an acre, top dollar, 10 acres.
Yeah, it goes from $250,000
Yes.
to 30.
Yes.
But you
But
have to
this is,
qualify.
yeah.
It's very
But
unfair, but
this
it's very
do-
advantageous to
But
them.
And
it's
this
so-
comes from, we have our guidelines. I don't like them.
The state's requiring you to charge $65,000 an acre.
No,
for the
they
first 2
require
acres.
us to equalize.
There's a
And
lot
assess
of
that
difference
market
between
value.
equalizing and sticking it to somebody.
That's
It's very
that's-
obvious here.
That's your.
Everybody is getting stuck with the same value, sir. That's what equalization is.
Well,
So
let's
it'd be
find a piece
unfair
of,
to adjust it only for you.
let's find a piece of property other than Brett Merkel that we were
Alright.
comparing everything to. Let's find a normal piece that somebody's maybe sold in a year or two. I know the situation there.
got a whole
We
list
raise
for
these
you upstairs,
valuations
sir.
high enough so that when we
Allison,
go down south
Allison.
and start assessing those values,
I think
then we got
every-
something to compare to.
I think everybody here totally sympathizes with you.
Sympathize, But I even found the bare ground that sold within the last year, a mile from my house. And
Did
it
it-
didn't even sell for the 65,000 for the first 2
It
acres.
sold
Would
for
that have an
$5,900
eligibility on it?
an
They
acre.
both had their eligibilities, they're building houses on it, it was bare ground that they
Okay,
built.
present that.
I have it, it was attached to my thing, I have 3 of them
It's in
here.
civic clerk.
Allison,
Allison,
Can I approach?
you
Yes.
can, yes.
The Hofer property over close to
Thank
one
you.
of these comparables,
Okay.
80 acres,
I'm
sold for
gonna call the meeting to
17.7.
order. One person's gonna speak at a time. Right now, Allison's up here showing us something. So she's got the floor. All right, so which number am I looking at,
All
Allison?
of them actually qualify, so, the funnest ground is 4 acres, that's a mile west of me, sold for 95,000.
Okay, so what I'm looking at is 1 acreage that sold, it was 4 acres, it sold for 95,000, and that had a
It's
build,
got the building eligibility.
all right.
Then we've got 5 acres, they paid extra because they're on a corner lot.
Can you
and they wanted a
verify
corner
those,
lot.
please?
Can you give me a parcel number?
I've got parcel 099.51.28 E200.
what I'm also trying to say is, even if we go to these numbers, it's still substantially higher than what I believe it can be.
No, and I understand that.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, since I have to show income for 3 years, I won't be eligible for farm ground for 3 years.
Then there was another parcel that sold for $120,000. It was 5 acres.
There was 77 acres that sold for $5,900 an acre.
How much?
One right north of me,
With 2 eligibilities.
with 2
And
eligibilities.
do you want that parcel number, Carla?
So,
That one is 099.51.28E100. And then there's a third, and these are all Lennox.
They're all within a mile of my house.
So you're doing a great job.
I
the
know,
last
I
one.
did the research. It's just,
So the next one is 10 acres that sold for
and
195
that may have 2 eligibilities.
Thousand.
I couldn't get that verified.
with possibly 2 building eligibilities. And that number is 995135.C100.
Allison, if I may, Allison.
You want to go ahead and just hand
Given
that to?
that data, what is your ask?
I got a motion.
Well, Schmidt has a motion, so maybe he's figured it out.
Allison, hang on.
Yep.
I'm gonna move that we leave the land at $149,600. We leave your house at the appraised value of $263,692 and the outbuildings at $27,890. So we reduce the whole thing by about, what? What does that add up to?
What are you
The
doing?
land is staying at 149,000, okay? The house
Where'd you
is
get
at
the
263,692, which was the appraised value. The outbuilding's at 27,890.
Say 149,600, because that's what the township gave, or is that what you requested?
All right, oh, just hold the phone.
Can you
here.
tell me how much that is? I mean,
149,600 plus
I was gonna say, they're going to the
692.
township one.
27,890.
441,182.
That's my proposal.
So the 149.6 that he's pulling up was from the township one before I did all my research. And I did not know this whole process. It was very short notice when I knew we had that. I know, and I had to throw a number out there. So I threw a number out there before I started pulling up my other numbers, but
According to,
What was your request? What is based on that? Did you have a request?
Yes, she does. The
yeah, I
request.
did on that one.
The request was land value at 149,600 and the building value at 291,582. That was the request for a total value of 441,182.
Does that building value include both of them?
Yes, that includes my house and the 2 outbuildings. And my house isn't worth that much either. I
just wanted to visit about,
I know.
I know we're behind, but they didn't get in the home.
No, and I've had water in the basement and my septic is all dug up in the backyard. I can't sell my house the way it is right now.
Break on the house.
I'm not gonna be able to give the break on the house. I need them to get in the home and see it. In light of the fact that I think the land is undervalued based on what we use as criteria, but I do believe the home is overvalued, I'm gonna,
Well, Jim's motion was to put the building at 263 something.
yeah, and it just lowered the land value, which I'm gonna second that, and move forward, but I do think giving a little more time by next year, there's ability to change this some more, so, but we need to get in that home and take a look
All
at
right,
it.
so Commissioner Schmidt, you want to reiterate your motion, make sure we're all on the same page?
Well, I wanna leave the land at 149,600. And I put the house at 263,692, which was the appraised value. And the outbuildings at $27,890, bringing the grand total to 441,000, what?
182.
182.
And that is, I'll second that motion. Keep us moving.
All right, Sherry, you got that?
Yep.
All right, I call the roll?
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes.
We gotta work on the ag side of it.
So you basically, you got what, from what I can tell,
And
you got
talk
what you
to
were
our
asking.
legislators
for.
about, because it's family land.
True value.
Allison,
True value is what
Get
it
some
could be sold
rest.
for. Dollars and cents
Thank
at
you.
some time or other.
Thanks, everybody. We'll move on to item 31 on our agenda.
Our next parcel is 099.51.31.1013. It's owned by Ralph and Linda K. Trolson. It's located at 27821 Cleveland Avenue. It's a single-family home on 5.33 acres. It has approximately 1,386 square feet, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom. They are peeling the land pricing. The local board lowered it to $273,852, which is the assessment, so they made no change essentially. The assessor's recommendation is no change as the value of the land is within the market valuation. We do show 3 comparable properties with structures on it. In the selling price at $295,000 up to $365,000. The sale date range is between 2019 and 2020. We felt the most comparable to our subject property was comparable number 1, sold in December 2020 for $323,000. It's very similar to the subject property, both in age, style, location, and size of the actual physical property at 5.10 acres. Some condition information for the commission to be aware of. Upon the assessor's exterior inspection in July of 2020, home is in normal condition. It's got a metal roof, newer siding and windows are in good shape. The lower level is unfinished. Possible 2023 interior updates from prior notes identifying construction materials and tool outside. So we noticed that there was some improvements from all of the tools on the outside. We needed to verify with the homeowner as no interior inspection or survey has been completed. So we have not been in the home. It's currently assessed at $65 a square foot. The cost has a cost range between $76 and $95 a square foot. The market is indicating a market range between $54 and $123 a square foot. We are using the same tiered pricing that we put forth all throughout Lincoln County except for the bottom tier of Townships 96. So the first 2 acres, 65,000, 3 through 10, 15, then 10 plus acres, $5,000. You can see our subject property is located in the southwest corner of the map. Comparable number 3 is located in the same vicinity. Comps 2 and 1 are kind of scattered in the north and eastern portion of the map. Again, we used comp 1 as the most comparable. And the assessor is making a recommendation for no change in the assessment to leave it at the $273,852.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for staff? If not, is the appellant available?
I do have note that he will not be in attendance today.
Okay.
Madam Chair, do we need any more questions? I'd move to deny. Approve the recommendation of our assessor of $273,852.
I have.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, Sherry, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. All right, next item.
Our next appeal is located parcel number 100.49.22.C007. It's owned by John and Julie Roan. It's a single-family property on 1.83 acres located at 27086 479th Avenue. It's a single-family home, approximately 1,505 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. We have a current assessment of $406,933. The local board made no change to the 2022 assessment. We show some properties that have sold in the general vicinity of the appellant's property, all in the 2021 assessment year, between $453,000 and $650,000. We felt our most comparable was comparable number 2, sold in September of 2021 for $650,000. The assessor's subject property condition states that upon the assessor's exterior inspection in 2016 and an interior inspection in 2016, the home is in normal condition. The roof, siding, windows, and decks are all in good shape. The interior is in good shape with standard finishes and a walkout basement finish. It's currently being assessed at $191 a square foot. The cost is indicating a valuation between $161 and $200 per square foot. The market is indicating a market range between $221 and $292 per square foot. It's being assessed in the blue tier, top tier of Lincoln County, with the first 2 acres at $65,000 for the first 2 acres. Acres 3 through 10 is $15,000, and 10 plus acres at $5,000. You can see where the subject property is located in the northeast corner of the map. Comps 1 and 2 are relatively close to the subject property. Comp 3 is on the western portion of the map. Overall, I think the comparables are very similar to the appellant property. Again, assessors are recommending no change and keeping the value at $406,933.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for staff? If not, is the applicant here?
Yes, I am. This is John Roan and my wife Julie.
Hi, John and Julie. You can go ahead and present your appeal to us.
Okay. Basically, we've received the comparable properties. We received actually 6 different properties in the package that we got for the local board appeal, and then we got another set of 3 for the county appeal. 2 of the houses that were in that second set were in that first set, and then there was 1 new one. I guess we disagree. We feel the comparables aren't necessarily that comparable with our property. Most of these comparables have higher end finishes and amenities that we don't have. All of them are located on paved roads in subdivisions. We're on a gravel road. We've made comparisons using the total square footage and finished square footage with all of these comparables. And without exception, I think there's 1 house that we're lower than both of the assessed values, if you're figuring total square feet and finished square feet, and the other one we're higher than 1 and lower on 1. And in our opinion, those houses shouldn't even be used as comparables.
Do you have other comparable sales that you wanted us to look at? I think that's the issue, is whether it's a comparable sale.
No, my issue is that I'm being assessed in relationship to other properties. I'm not being assessed equitably. And that's spelled out when you go to the South Dakota website on property tax appeals. And yes, I guess I would say that I haven't seen anything that says what my market value is on my house from the county. But I do have plenty of information on comparing what these so-called comparable houses are assessed at per square foot and comparing it to our house, and then comparing the features of the houses and the locations of the houses.
Do any of the board members have questions? Or Julie, did you want to add anything?
Well, I'm in agreement with John. We have worked out comparable by comparable square footage and value.
I can tell you right where we fall compared to the averages of these groups of comparables. And
Were you going to present those for your appeal? I don't know that we received any other comparables that you wanted to use.
Well, I have them now. I can present them now.
I'm looking at Civic Clerk.
Tried to attach anything and they sent this.
Yeah, we're using the comparisons the county sent us, and we're just using,
Yep,
those
just,
square
just a
footages.
moment, I'm looking at your objection and what we have available to us.
A question for staff.
Go ahead.
The most comparable, which was number 2, finish versus this subject property finish. How did the two rated for finish compare?
They're graded the same.
They're graded the same.
I guess that's what I also have a problem with. All of these houses that got sent to us for comparison use have sold recently, and all you got to do is go to Zillow, and you can see what finishes, what features these houses have. I've got a list of probably 10, 15, 20 things as far as amenities, sunrooms, things like that, and our house has none of them. There's nothing on the list that our house has. Heat pumps, geothermal, hardwood floors, ceramic tile, walk-in showers, double vanities, jetted tubs, granite countertops, heated garages, finished garages, fully sheetrock basements, home theaters. Some of these houses have architectural style windows with arches, brick veneers. One house is actually a stucco house. If I could, the last set of comparables included a house on Chateau Court that was in the group of 3. And when I go to Zillow, I mean, this is the comparison. This is supposed to be a house that's comparable to ours. Located on Twin Creek, private development on a cul-de-sac with all paved roads. 2.26 acres with much more open area, incredible view, overlooking Twin Creek Valley. Hot tub on back patio offers peaceful, star-filled evenings. Close in acreage, award-winning designs, custom walkout split floor, beautiful Dakota cherry kitchen cabinets with center island, unique coved hallway, trade ceilings, oval octagon shapes, Dakota floor, special Brazilian cherry and oak floor. Security system, motion detectors, intercom system, as well as home stereo system. Oversized triple garage with hot and cold water taps, built-in floor drain. Second bedroom has access to garage or outside for possible use as office. Main floor laundry, and then when you go and look at the pictures, I mean, I've got 10, 15 more things I can list off that our house doesn't have a single one of them. Now, how does that house compare to our house? And actually, here's the kicker. You compare total square footage and finished square footage. This house is only assessed at $6.25 more when you figure total square footage. Our house is actually 24 cents a square foot more than that house when you figure finished square footage.
Thank you.
Totally baffled.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to ask you to wrap up your comments.
Okay, well, that's fine. Again, we'd like to know why our house is assessed so much higher when you, on a square footage basis, when you use the comparables that the county is furnished.
Do you, okay.
No matter what group, the first group, it comes out the same. If you use the total, the square footages, our house would come in like $20,000. If we use just the average total square footage and finished square footage, if you use that, our house value would be $251,550. If you use the finished square footage, it would be $242,130. That's presently it's assessed at $287,000.
All right, thank you, sir. Does anybody have any questions for John or Julie? If not, is there a motion?
I believe this criteria has been followed on this property as others. And I would move to stay with the recommendation from the Director of Equalization.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? If not, Sherry, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, sir. If you have other questions about your assessment, I would encourage you to contact the Director of Equalization's office and speak to them about why your assessment is what it is, if you have other questions.
Done that and gotten no answers.
I'll move on to the next item.
Our next parcel is parcel 100.49.22.J10A. It's owned by Kathy Kruger. It's 20.55 acres. The current assessed value on the land is $302,750. It's got a total assessed value of $953,388. The appellant is disputing her land valuation. Therefore, the information we set forth for the commission is some land comparables. The assessor is recommending no changes as the property falls in line with current and cost market values. Property owner has also platted and sold 7 2-acre lot adjoining her lot, all for no less than $229,000 each. This lot is 20.55 acres. To be assessed as low as ag class properties, you must apply for the ag class criteria. So they are wanting the agricultural classification. The local board did lower it to $863,388. The assessor's office appealed it back. You have the PT 16 form in which we appealed back. Reasoning, we appealed it back because we do have some comparable properties that have sold in the general area of the appellant property. All have sold relatively recent within the 21 assessment year, ranging from $229,000 to $269,000. They're relatively similar in size, 1.5 acres up to a 2.5 acre piece. We felt the most comparable to the subject property was comparable number 3. It was a 2-acre piece sold for $269,000, which helps us set our base rate for our assessment levels. Some information in regards to the subject property, the home, it's, in normal condition. It's a very custom to prestigious grade layout and finishes. The homeowner is not disputing the current assessment value of the land. The land on average is being assessed at $14,700 per acre, using our cost method and our market method. This is why it gets a little skewed. Our cost is showing assessments between $96,000 and $97,000 per acre, and that's because they're smaller pieces, the 1.5 to 2 acres, where our subject property is quite large. The market is also showing the market ranges between $133,000 and $145,000. You can see our subject property in pink. And the comparables are right around it and sometimes adjacent to the subject property. This is what sets our standard for assessments, these type of sales.
And this property was classed as agricultural until these plats started coming out this year. It's a good representation of how the agricultural classification is a good way to hide your true market value until you decide to do a development like this, and then you no longer qualify. But being 20 acres, like we discussed earlier, you can find a creative way to still qualify.
The assessor is recommending no change to valuation.
Thank you. Is the appellant available?
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm Kathy Kruger. I also have brought along Dan Bjorgen. He is my realtor and has helped me with some comparables. So I have spoken to your office quite a bit, Carla. Thank you. Your staff's been great to work with. I've been trying to understand. I realize that I've gone from an ag zoning classification to a residential. You can imagine my shock. I went from $46,530 to $302,750 in land value. So I went up 1,138%. So my questioning is your comps, because when I called your office and I asked them, what is the definition of a comp? What do I need to find? I have 20 acres. Most of this land is not usable land. If you look at it, there's a large pond, there's a shelter belt, there's rolling steep hillsides. Like I can't put a crop on it. I can't generate any money on it. So it doesn't really hold the same as a true ag land where there's crops and pasture and things like that. So my argument really is that it's not truly fit under your values because it's not all the same. It doesn't have that same value of land. So when I asked about your comps, I have 20 acres. So your people had said, find something between maybe, 12, 15 acres to maybe 25, 30 acres, because that's comparable. Something with a similar terrain, rolling hillsides, plains. The lots that you compared me to, well, yeah, they're great comps and they sold for good money, but the reason is because they're developed. I spent over $1 million to develop those lots. I hired a professional engineering design firm, had an excavator come out, put in a water main. These homes are hookup ready. They have utilities. They have mid-continent cable. They have natural gas. They have a paved road. They have an HOA. They have a covenant. Like, this is completely developed, and they're only 1.5 to 2.02 acres. That's nothing compared to the 20 acres. So I don't think your comps are comparable to my property. So I've got Dan here, and I'd like to have him present, and I have a printout for all of you of some comps, if you don't mind if I'd approach. I'd love to have you take a look at what we found.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
So Kathy approached me last week and said, hey, Dan, help me find some comps for this property. And obviously, we talked about the current comps that were being used, and Kathy did a really good job explaining why they're probably not comparable from a real estate point of view. If we were to price out real estate, well, we look at all the infrastructure, et cetera. So the comps you're seeing in front of you are all, of course, in Lincoln County, and they're between that 10 to 12 acre site at a minimum, and the largest one we found was 37 acres altogether. And then when you look at the price per square feet of those, and again, you can see it in front of you, they range from $8,700 some dollars per acre up to nearly $1,400 per acre for a comparable sale. And in terms of distance, the one that's most attractive is the one that is at 464th Avenue and T. So those are three comps that we found, and we thought we'd present them before you. As compared to the developed land that sold as 1 to 2 acres, developed with all of the necessary infrastructure to bring it up to that cost.
My recommendation or my appeal to the Springdale Township was to value my land as I realized that the value is changed and things, but my request was to be at $10,352 an acre, which I thought was very fair. I thought it was very reasonable, especially when you look at comparable properties like mine that have sold in this county in the last year. I felt like I was right in line with what other properties were.
Carla, do you have any response?
I'm just looking at her sales. So the first sale is in, looks like Eden Township.
I think it has a Hudson address.
That's in the southeast corner of the county.
South of Fairview, I mean, that one's pretty far away, but
I understand where, it's,
gotta reach out sometimes.
I mean, we are on a totally different tiered system in that particular township. I would hate to use it as a basis because you can see as we go down the county, it actually starts decreasing. So I'd at least like to stay in that first tier, but it's a good comparison for our larger piece of property. It helps determine what our remaining acres is. I mean, I understand that.
What
I think
about the
middle
what?
comp is probably the best comp, just because it's closest in size. Well, I don't know, they're both, this one's a little bigger,
Considerably bigger.
yeah.
I mean,
We have 381,000 on that property, and it sold for 325, so, I mean, we're even over on that one. There's always outliers, and you could cherry pick sales either way, so. I don't think you'd find this 20 acres for $300,000 in Springdale Township anytime, unless the market really bounces down, but I honestly think that's pretty fair.
And if I may, one more time.
Well, I'm
sorry.
I'm wondering if the commissioners have any questions for you. Nope, don't. Go ahead and just wrap up your comments.
Okay, I was just gonna say, I would agree that it could be fair comps, but again, it would involve putting all of the necessary infrastructure and time and money into that area to develop them into 1 to 2 to maybe 3 acre sites to bring them up to that value.
Thank you.
Let's go full circle on this property. What is the total valuation of the property? What would the total valuation, what would you sell it for? Not just the 20 acres.
no, let's,
the
let's focus
whole-
on, I'm gonna stop, please, if I may, Madam Chair. We're looking at these, you were speaking of if it's developed and referring to the 3 comps for land values of 2 acres plus or minus 1.5. I mean, those acres per acre's roughly $100,000. I don't believe that we're actually very far off with what the true value is of that land. It seems outrageous, but if you're in real estate right now, everything seems outrageous. I don't know what is going to be stopping it. And in developing a system of equalization, I don't see something that is necessarily far off on this. All parcels, even large parcels of 20 acres, are falling under the same criteria. And we have, 1.5 acres selling for $97,000. So I don't know, I did some math trying to adjust, even if we took down the less desirable land, this property's well worth that in today's market. Tomorrow may change. 3 years ago, probably not, but today it is. And when we're having to go through all of the assessments, I'm not finding anything that is in the same range that's telling me differently, I'm afraid. Any other comments? Otherwise, I have a motion.
Commissioner Poppin, I don't necessarily disagree, but this seems, to me, just tells me it's unusually high right now for what we have it assessed for. I don't have a rationale, it just seems unusually high to me. And there was some rationale that the local board used to lower that by $100,000.
When you went to local boards, why did they lower it, if I may ask, if
So
you
my
remember?
my proposal to them, I had it all spelled out for them as well. I basically said I lived on about 2.5 acres I had the aerial photo as well, so you can see that's really all that I have. The rest of it is just open land. It's the pond, the shelter belt, areas I can't even reach. You can hardly walk to some of this. It's not all that accessible. But I had put it at, the first 2 acres at $60,000 an acre and everything else valued at $5,000 an acre. And that's how I came up with the number.
Last question, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
The 2 remaining eligibilities, do those reside on this parcel?
I have one,
One additional
and it
eligibility?
remains, yes.
So there's still one more eligibility that could get qualified for 2 acres at $97,000 an acre for those 2 acres. So I've ran the analysis. It's there, the value's there.
It doesn't match up to the comps, though. That's the thing. It's
The
no one else is
comps
selling it.
in that area, you had some on the
The
south.
ones we presented.
Yeah,
As you can imagine, it's not all that common to find 20 acres of land in Lincoln County that sold in the last 12 months. So
Especially in
it was
that area.
extremely difficult to try and find comps. And I worked with your office a lot, Carla. Everyone was trying to help me find some different comps and some different comparables because I think everybody agreed and realized that the Bridges at Spring Creek development next to me that's zoned rural residential, that's completely not relevant. So people were trying to help me find comps, and Dan did a fantastic job.
Madam Chair, I have a motion, but I do want to preface it, Commissioner Schmidt, there's two eligibilities. One's being used for the existing parcel, so if you take those 2 acres, that's $200,000. If you take that other eligibility, those 200,000, just in those 4 acres, there's $400,000 in value.
Could you entertain Commissioner Poppins an assessment of about $900,000?
Well, I can't base it, I just, in that argument with just the 2 eligibilities, one being used and one remaining, there's more than $300,000 in value.
I understand I understand your situation, but I'm troubled by the fact that a local board reduced it by $100,000.
I don't know, I wasn't
The
there to
last
hear.
local board made no change, but you changed it, so, I don't know.
Local board went from our value at 953 to 863.
I mean, many times we presented the local board changes and you didn't agree with them.
I'm sympathetic, it's a lot of money, but the market is what's driven this. And with the remaining eligibility still on that parcel unused, with the existing eligibility, those 2 alone, those 4 acres, those initial 2 acres and 2 acres, is more than what we even have it assessed at today's market. So, I will move that we stay with our Department of Equalization's assessment.
Is there a second?
I don't have a good rationale to not substitute a motion. I do think, I will second your motion, but I do think this thing is too high. And I don't have, I'm sorry.
I think we have, how many parcels in the county? All of them think they're too high.
Yeah, well, I know, but this one seems unusually high to me. Anyway, I second your motion.
Thank you.
So has been a motion and a second. Sounds like there's further discussion, but I'm not sure. How about any further discussion? I mean, you have a beautiful home, and some people may want to use all that land. Some people may want the privacy. I mean, I think there could be value to it either way.
Well, Commissioner Palmer, you're assuming then that on this property that there will be a second home, correct?
No, not at all, but we still have value. Whether a person intends to build or not, that value remains.
Yeah, but how do they use that value if they can't build on the property?
Then we have to reassess all of our properties on that premises that if there isn't a home there, it doesn't have the value of that eligibility. And in the discussion that we've had for years, ever since the county went to the 1 per 40 and created housing eligibilities, those valuations have been established and need to be protected. And those values have rapidly increased.
Carla,
I agree with you, Commissioner.
we're not taking, your evaluation does not take into consideration that other eligibility.
And that's what I'm getting at is this 302 doesn't even take that into consideration.
Yeah, but it's of no value to her because they can't build on the property. I
I've got-
understand about eligibilities, so if she was to go out and buy an adjacent property, she could utilize the building eligibility then. But as of right now, it's a building eligibility that is on paper. But she cannot build on that, so it has no value.
All right, stop for a moment, please. We have a motion and a second. It's either gonna pass or it's gonna fail. Sherry, we call the roll.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes, 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 yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Motion carries.
I don't like it.
I-
I disagree with it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here today. Next item on the agenda.
Our next appeal is parcel number 100.49.67.2011. It's owned by David and Angela McKee. It is located at 47329 271st Street. It is a 1950s home of 768 square feet, 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom. We have a current assessed value of $316,858. The local board did lower it to $214,858. We have three comparables that we show on the next page that are relatively similar in age and size of the subject property. We felt the most comparable was comparable number 2, sold in October of 2020 for $274,000. Some of the condition information that we provided for Commissioner discussion is upon assessor's exterior inspection in 2016 and an interior inspection in 2016. The home is in normal condition with exterior upgrades completed before the 2016. That of a roof deck, no roof, new siding, brick veneer. The interior is in good shape with standard finishes and no basement finish. It is currently being assessed at $98 per square foot. The cost comparables show a range between $57 and $170 per square foot. The market shows a market range between $76 and $275 per square foot, quite the range. We do show some land valuations or land sales that took place relatively close or nearby to the subject property. The valuation range of the bare lot or bare acreage sales indicated a valuation range between $40,500 and $46,600 per acre, and our assessed value on our comparable is $26,364. You can see our subject property is just south of Sioux Falls. Comparable 3 is the closest proximity to the subject property. Comp 2 is just to the west, and Comp 1 is to the south of the subject property. Some of the information provided by the appellant was some of the wetness on their property. I will show that on the slide. They submitted that information to the office after we presented it to the board's packet on Friday. Those comp sales of the bare lots, you see where the subject property is located in the northeastern corner of the map, and comp 2 is the closest in proximity of the bare lot sales. Comps 1 and 3 are just scattered south and west of the subject property. Assessor is for Board of Equalization is recommending no change to the 2022 assessment in value of $316,858. It's 8.8 acres.
Thank you. Is the appellant here?
Yes, yes, I am.
Angela?
Yes,
Okay. Good afternoon. Go ahead and let us know what you'd like us to hear on your appeal.
okay. Yes, I did. I know I did submit the drawing of the wetlands map.
Yes,
on
we
the
have that.
property, the national wetlands. Okay. Also, on your site for the Lincoln County parcel locator or whatever, if you look back at the historical maps, on here all I can see back is to 2008, but we've also owned the place since 1985. You can just see the progression of the wetland area growing through that whole area, that path through that, which is not even a path anymore. It's pretty much a lake almost all the time.
Angela, where does that pipeline run?
The pipeline is, I think, like right along that back edge of the property, like on that back corner. It would be the, let's see, southwest corner, I believe, along that line area. And we don't even have the natural gas hooked up, but here, I mean, on this property. So
This is where the house is, right here.
Right.
So to even go back there and do anything as far as, trying to get it to go, I know they've done a few other attempted. I think they put a culvert in when they redid the road there. My husband had come down before, I think, and talked to them, and apparently the culvert that was put in wasn't the size that was intended to go in. It was smaller, so it left us with more water that is not draining out of there. And then we've gone right down the Western Avenue area, which, floods now too. Not as bad as it did before, but because they've also done something with the drainage down there too.
Thank you. We are seeing what that drainage looks like on our screen here. Any commissioners have any questions for Angela? If not, is there a motion?
Question to staff.
Go ahead.
Given her testimony that you've heard, is there any reason that you believe that any adjustment needs to be made?
I bet you could sell this place for
It's
$300.
a yes or no?
No.
Please, thank you. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to motion to stay with our Department of Equalization's recommendation of 74,888, 9974 on accessory buildings, and the land at 232,000 for the 316,858. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I have a question. So part of the claim is that this is non-farmable land.
Right.
What is your, I'm speaking to our Director of Equalization. Is it non-farmable?
So it is currently not being classed or valued as farmland. It says residential land. So it's on this tiered system that we developed for Lincoln County. So we are not valuing it as agricultural property.
So it's strictly
I think
it's strictly going on the tiered system?
Isn't it listed as an ag area?
Could you repeat that?
The question is it's zoned, it currently is zone ag, I believe.
Uh-huh.
But it's for
Yeah.
Department of Equalization's, it does not qualify by the state's requirement for valuation under the ag criteria, unfortunately.
That's correct.
Which makes sense with your comments that it's not farmable, so.
Right.
All right. So we've got a motion and a second, do we not? All right. If there's no further discussion, Sherry, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am.
So there's no change.
There's
No
no
change.
change, ma'am. We'll go ahead and move on to the
well-
next item on, excuse me, go ahead.
Will we be receiving a hard copy of that decision?
Yes.
You will receive a letter, yes.
Just for the record, they
Okay.
can appeal our decision, can they not?
They can appeal it to the State Board of Hearing Examiners or Circuit Court.
That's correct. Just for the record.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we've never done anything like this, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that all worked.
Thank you for appearing, ma'am.
Thank you.
We'll move on to item 35 on our agenda.
Our next appeal is parcel number 100.50.31.B018. It's owned by Richard and Pamela Howe. It's located at 47005 Rose Circle. It sits on 1 acre. It is a single-family property built in 1978, 1,248 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. It does have some lower-level finish. The assessor's recommendation is to leave the value at its 2022 assessment at $246,610. The local board did lower it to $214,110. We do show some comparables of properties that are similar to the subject property in age, style, and location. The most comparable was comparable number 2. It sold in October of 2021 for $252,000. Some condition information that the assessors wanted to share with the board was upon the assessor's exterior inspection in 2015, home is in normal condition. The roof, steel siding, and windows are all in good condition. Homeowners purchased over 40 years ago, and their objection to the land value is because of water issue. Recent improvements, including a sun addition, paver, patio, and deck, have been added to the property. Its current assessment is $145 a square foot. The cost is indicating a valuation range between $147 and $163 a square foot. The market is indicating a valuation between $147 and $194 square foot. Some of their complaints is in regards to water and the flood and the risk. So we did show where the subject property is located in the flood or risk area, as is our most comparable sale. You can see on the map where the subject property is located, and just in some of the developments to the south, east, and west of the subject property is where we found the comps. So it's relatively close in proximity to the subject property. We do show some comps that have of bare lots that have sold that have indicated some water issues or ponding at the time of purchase. Ranging between $50,000 an acre and $26,000 an acre in selling price. Again, the assessors is recommending no change to their 2022 assessment of $246,610. I do have some pictures that the appellant sent over the weekend that they would like to share with the board. I believe these were some of the pictures that were provided with their 2017 appeal.
That could be correct. I mean,
Yeah.
the flood, it's, you know, I mean, obviously, since the county has not done anything with 9 Mile Creek, the flooding issue has never going to go away until they do. And then you can see in those pictures that it has come right up to our retaining wall of our patio. And the lot, tract 19, which is right next to us, which has our shed on it, which you can also see in the pictures. That property value, after when we also, I went to the board, that they lowered that property value of the land. The land is the value that I'm talking about that I want decreased. They lowered that particular one down to $32,500, and so because obviously that's in the floodplain as well, and with 9 Mile Creek literally in our backyard, I don't understand how that land can be worth $32,500, and the lot where the house is on is worth $65,000. They're both 1 acre lots. They're both in the floodplain. I'm not arguing about the cost of what the structure is taxed at. I'm arguing about, I'm talking about the land value, assessed price.
Right. For those that weren't present during the morning session, if I could explain that to the commission and also to the appellant, for those properties that are in 100% of the flood floodplain and it is a bare piece of property, then we do give a 50% flood adjustment to those properties. We don't do that for improved properties. So that is why the lot that she's referring to has an assessed value of $32,000, because we did give it an adjustment because it sits 100% in the floodplain. Does that answer your question, Ms. Howell?
And you, well,
Well, what, I don't have the current map to show exactly how much of our lot with our house on, how much of that is in the floodplain, but I know we no longer, don't have a mortgage on it, but if we had a mortgage, we would have to pay flood insurance. So obviously it's in the floodplain.
It's just on the bare land.
okay, so maybe I'm missing something here. You've got the assessed value at 65,000.
Yes.
I'm actually addressing the director.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That is correct,
Okay,
65,000.
and then you just made a comment about adjusting it to 32,000.
No, she was comparing the lot next door to her property being assessed at 32,000 and why that value is at 32,000 and she's at 65.
Okay,
So I was trying to explain to her how we came up with that $32,000 valuation.
ma'am, you're just asking for that acre to be assessed at 55,000 instead of the 65,000.
Well, that would be the minimum. I mean, it were actually, I think, it should even go back to what it was last year. It was at 48.4 last year, and then you took, gave a big increase this year. I mean, that land has not went up like that in value because it still is, it still has all the flooding issues that we've had for years.
Madam Chair.
And so
question for
you
staff.
want to raise the value of the land when I mean, I don't see how you can because the flooding is still there. The possibility of it is still there. You can see in pictures how much it floods when it
All
comes
right.
up all the way to our house.
Ms. Howe, Commissioner Poppins has a question for staff.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at land values.
Go ahead.
Okay.
He's addressing the director.
The staff, thank you. I'm just trying to evaluate the 65,000 that we have on comp one, we have 48,000 on comp two, and comp three is back at 65, and our subject property is at 65. Clearly, this parcel is in the floodplain. I'm just trying to grab a handle on why I don't have this at the, if comp two is our most comparable, why we don't have that at the 48,750. So,
I'm trying to follow you, Mike, but I don't.
so we use number two as the most comparable comp.
Okay.
We have the land value on that on that parcel at 48,750.
Yep.
But we have 65,000 on this subject parcel.
I can answer that one.
Yeah, that's a simple question for me there. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Are you saying that's what the value is?
I believe that both are affected by the flooding scenarios equally. I believe, and I'm going to motion unless staff
It
can,
does appear that particular property
So your comparable number two
yes, is fully.
is 100%
Yeah,
in the floodplain.
I see that.
Okay.
I
And we did
believe.
make a 25% adjustment to that improved property.
Sure. I do believe that both parcels are equally affected.
I'm looking at the floodplain map.
The thing,
It's bad. It goes right up to the back door. What on earth are they ever gonna use that for unless we do something with 9 Mile Creek? I agree 100% with her.
Okay, given that, Madam Chair, I'm gonna offer a motion that we change the land value to 48,750 per acre, against the, 1 acre, and then leave the home value at the same.
Okay, is there a second?
I second that.
Thank you. Sherry, will you call the roll?
1 acre.
She only has 1 acre.
Yep.
Most of it's underwater.
Yep.
At least we have a dry year this year. So far, knock on wood.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
Commissioner
without
Schmidt?
it,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes.
And the comment quickly, though, is I do want everyone to understand that along Money Mile Creek, it's gonna, at best, be a joint effort between the county. If there's any expectation that the county's gonna come in and fix that problem solely, we're not gonna see that day, so.
Not unless we.
yeah, I don't think so either. It's been, I mean, 10 years ago, my husband tried to get to do from the bridge, which is on 470th, all the way over to the interstate. He was going to hire somebody to clean that and dredge that out for $10,000. And the county said, no, you can't do that. So instead, we deal with all this flooding instead of trying to fix the problem. But
Thank
yeah,
you.
it's
Thank
not
you, ma'am.
going to go away.
Thank you, ma'am. You bet. All right, we need to move on to our next appeal.
So we do have a rescheduled on and I apologize, I don't know what line numbers they are. The 3:50 and 4 o'clock have been rescheduled to the 26th.
Well, okay, those are already off, so.
Okay.
We're
The
at
one
the
I'm
410.
looking at is 410.
Okay, perfect. That's exactly where I'm at as well. Our next appeal is parcel number 100.50.50.K000. It's under the name of Tony and Billy Taylor. It's located at 46778 269th Street. It's a single-family property on 20.05 acres. Consists of approximately 1,614 square feet for the single-family property. 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. It does have some lower-level finish of 1,124 square feet. The assessor's recommendation is leaving the valuation at $542,155. The local board did lower it to $466,905. We do show some comps that we felt were relatively comparable to the subject property, although it's unique in size and age and et cetera. In 2021, we had a couple sales that from $609,000 to $1,027,000. Back in 2019, we had a property sold for $570,000 that we thought were very similar to the subject property. We felt our most comparable property was comparable number 1. It's located in the same township as the subject property, built in 1978, 1,820 square feet. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. Just a brief information on the subject property condition. It was inspected in 2016. After exterior and interior inspection, the property was noted that it was in normal condition. The lower level was refinished in 2017. Its current assessed value is $150 per square foot. The cost indicated a range between $151 and $153, so it's a tight comparison. The market approach indicated a valuation between $116 and $390,000 per square foot. We do show some back pictures, which we thought were pretty helpful for the commission's review. We are on the tiered system, $65,000 the first 2 acres, then tiering down to $15,000, then $5,000 after 10 plus acres. Our subject property is located in the northwest corner of the map. Comp 1 is just adjacent to a subdivision, but it's relatively close to the subject property. Comp 2 and 3 are just directly south of the subject property. All comparables have some type of water or ponding issue on the land. We wanted you to notice that, to take notice that these sales often have water issues and they're still being sold. We show some valuations of bare lots that have sold in the relatively close to the subject property, ranging in March and June of 2021, between 5 and 10.22 acres, selling in the average range between $40,000 and $46,600 per acre. Our current assessment on the subject property per acre is $14,975. Our cost is indicating $20,700 to $24,000 per acre. The market indicates between $14,600 and $65,000 per acre. That's going to vary based on the size of the acreages we're using as a comparison. But I can, with confidence tell you that all of these values are based on the same tiered system. The subject and the comparables on the next page are our land comparables. Comparable 2 is the most, the closest in proximity to the subject property. Assessor is recommending no change to the 2022 assessment value of $542,155.
Is the appellant available?
No?
We didn't have any RSVP.
Okay,
All right.
Madam
Any
Chair,
questions for
No,
staff?
I have a motion to stick with the Department of Equalization's recommendation.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, Sherry, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes. That motion carries. We'll move on to our,
If anything, Carla, with the sale value of the previous property, wow, it just shows how quickly these values are jumping.
Yeah.
Thank you.
thank you. We'll move on to our 420 appeal.
Oh, 3 minutes.
Our next appeal is parcel number 100.50.55.C100. Its owner's James Graff, located at 46788 270th Street. It's a single-family home on 11.35 acres, consists of about approximately 1,332 square feet. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, does have lower level finish of approximately 1,068 square feet. The assessment notice went out at $478,007. It did get appealed to local board. Local board lowered it to $421,257. After all of the analysis, the assessor recommends no change as the property assessment falls in line with both cost and market approaches to value. You can see on our next set of slides where we have 3 similar homes that we felt were comparable to the subject property, that of which have sold between $426,000 and $548,500, relatively recent sales. We felt the most comparable to the subject property was comparable number 3, sold in December of 2020 for $535,000. Just a brief information in regards to the subject property condition. Upon assessor's exterior inspection in 2015 and an interior inspection in 2015, the home exterior is below normal condition and was adjusted for that. The utility building was in normal condition and the crib was in above normal condition as it was re-tinned. The lower level finish was discovered during the interior inspection and was added. Interior has standard finishes in normal condition with 3 baths. It is on the tiered system in the Dayton, LaValle, Perry, Springdale, and Delapre Township. The blue tier, we would call it. First 2 acres are at $65,000. The 3 through 10 are at $15,000 per acre. And anything over 10 acres, we are assessing at $5,000 per acre. You can see on our comp page where the subject is located in the southern center of the map, and the comparables 1 through 3 are relatively close to the subject property in the same vicinity. We do show some comparable land sales that have sold, in and around the comparable property or the subject property, that are ranging between $34,000 and $46,000 per acre. We felt the most comparable on the land pricing was comparable number 3, sold in July of 2021 for $375,500. That was also an 11-acre piece. That just helps set our standards to our assessment and our tiered pricing system. Of the three approaches, the subject property is currently being assessed at $145 a square foot. The cost comparison is a range between 167 and 170, and our improved pricing on our three comparables is between 192 and 275. It falls below both the cost and the market approaches to value. Our unimproved comparable prices per acre was between 34,136 and 46,000, and the subject property is currently on average being assessed at 22,621. So again, below what the market is indicating.
Thank you. Is the appellant available?
This is James Graff.
Hi, good afternoon. Go ahead. Go ahead and present your appeal, please.
Okay, so the first thing I want to say is when they come out and assess me, what's been 6-7 years ago, and they had on my property tax card that I had a Whirlpool tub, which I do not have a Whirlpool tub. The other thing that one of the big bump was on the buildings was that I insulated them. And my big shop, I no longer have insulation because it was styrofoam that all it was doing was basically rusting everything bottom up because it was like a big cooler. And then the other thing was they had me down for a 5-bedroom house, and it's a 4-bedroom. And I know they've changed two of the three already, but as far as my taxes, none of that has went down. And then when they say comparable 3, and on the garage stalls and stuff, I mean, it was they showed the garage stalls being 2 stalls, but it didn't say how much the square footage was in them. So I guess with the comparables, I guess I know they're older homes with more square footage, but there's discrepancies on how I can even be kind of comparable to them houses. And then the third thing I want to appeal is they say my property's going up, so I don't know if you guys have my sheets that I brought down to you guys.
I have some information that the appellant submitted. Which sheet would you like me to present, Mr. Graff?
The first one, or the one that I'd like, is the aerial view with it says field dumping and ditch.
Okay, that's on display for the commission.
Okay, so as you can see, that I have a creek running diagonal through my property, and you can see how much that floods out in the spring is the red line. So all of that land that is basically in the red lines and stuff it's non-eligible for building. So that's taking up, a good 2/3 of my property is land that's underwater that you can't do nothing with, that they are taxing me on. I understand I got to get taxed on something, but as far as value-wise, it's a lot of it gets flooded. So, and then on the other picture, I mean, it's just showing views from ground level that I took myself. So, and then as you can see, the field that's to the north of me, the water from there's a creek that comes in and that dumps into right where it comes in there, and that's a big slough right there on the back side of the north side of my property. And then the gravel road there, the ditch, they have that ditched and that drains down into that creek that also runs through there. So, and I think that's all I think I got is, and other than when she made the comment on my corn crib being above average shape. Before I put that tin on there, the whole roof was sagging on my corn crib. So I did not do nothing with that. I just made the tin come up and put the roof cap on there to make it look like it's above normal grade, but it's got a sagging roof. I'm just trying to save it as much as I could. That's why I put tin on it. So that's all I think about all I have is for you guys.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any questions for staff or Mr. Graff?
The only question I have for appellant is the additional acres that's on your parcel. Do you use any of that in the form of agriculture at all?
No.
If there's no
I
other
don't really-
discussion, go ahead, sir.
I don't think there'd be enough there for worth anybody's time for ag. So
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'm gonna, go ahead.
I was just looking at his request value is identical to what the assessors have, right? On my sheet up I've got here, requested
Oh, let me
value
look.
of 250 land.
Sometimes folks get confused on that, Jim.
I'm looking at the PT.
Oh, okay.
So the appellant is requesting the land be put at 256, 750, and the building at 220, buildings at 221, 257. So that's the requested, which matches the PT 17. And then if you go down below, that's the assessed value and how it's broken down in the assessor's recommendation. So
And they match.
They're the
The
same.
match.
so why are we here?
It's, they
They
make a
get
mistake.
confused on that portion of the PT 17
Oh.
I
form.
bet at least over 30% do the same thing. They either
I
put
thought
nothing
you-
there or they put the same thing.
I thought
actually
you meant
requested they
Commissioner
change
Schmidt
it.
was confused.
Sure.
Madam Chair, before we
Maybe I was confused.
digress into that conversation, I'll offer a motion that I believe they followed the same criteria in equalization of this property as others, so I'm going to follow the recommendation of the equalization staff. Thank you.
Second.
All right, Sherry, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes.
Now, in reference,
Thank you, sir.
you can't appeal that.
Oh, so it's staying the same as what it was?
Yes.
Okay, my question is then, okay, so when land and, home values go down, is my property tax gonna go down? Is that gonna stay the same?
If there's an adjustment, if I may, Madam.
Go ahead.
Yep, we have to.
Chair, is that if the valuations of property go down, we will be required to lower the assessment of those properties as well. We cannot be over market on properties in our assessments.
But in that situation, likely your taxes wouldn't change anyway.
We're
Even
not
raising-
we're not setting taxes here today.
No, okay, so that's what I mean, but I mean, usually the value of your property kind of sets the value of what you're gonna pay in taxes, but
It is what it's based on, yes.
If
right.
I can, for 1 minute, I will make it quick, Madam Chair.
Literally 1 minute.
Yes.
Ms. Graff, there's a easy way for me to explain it to individuals. The assessment change is an average change for the whole area. If you're above that average change, it's going to adversely, in other words, increase your taxes. If it's below the average, it will decrease your taxes because the county's budget portion is not affected by reevaluation of assessments. Our evaluations only changes by CPI. It's a neutral effect to our budget. It's just equalization of the values, and it's just reference to how you compare to the average change. Thank you.
All right, we've got our 4:30 hearing.
Our next appeal is parcel number 100.50.58.2010. It's in the name of Jason and Sarah Stone. It's located in Delapre Township in section, I don't have that. It's located in, excuse me, the legal description is the southwest quarter of the northwest quarter of Government Lot 2, excluding Lufco Edition, and the southeast quarter of the northwest quarter, excluding White's Edition in section 18, Township 100, Range 50. It is 36.3 acres. We currently have it assessed at $381,500. The appellants just purchased it in January of 2022 for $325,000. There is no local board change as these are direct to county appeals. We do show some land valuations that have taken place in and around the area in Delapre Township. All are smaller acreages that have sold between 5 and 7 acres. ranging in 46,000 per acre up to 49,900 per acre. The current assessed value, and this is where sometimes the ranges are kind of distorted. Our subject property is being valued at 10,500 per acre. The cost on our comparables is between, or our assessment is between 29,200 and 35,000 per acre. The market is indicating between 46 and 49,900 per acre. It is on the tiered system, so the first 2 acres are valued at $65,000 each. Acres 3 through 10 at 15, and anything over 10 at 5,000 per acre. You can see where our subject property is located in the northwest corner of the map. And you see our comparables are just kind of randomly scattered throughout. The assessor at this point is making no assessment change to the 2022 assessment, leaving the value at $381,500. The appellant did submit some documents via email that he would like to share with the commission.
Was, in your valuation, was the sale that, when they purchased this land in January for $325, was that an arm's length transaction?
It was.
Okay, thank you.
Are they on phone or anything? Are they on the?
Is the
Yes, we are on the phone.
and that's Sarah?
Yes.
And
Sarah's
Ja-
on the phone and Jason's also on the phone.
Okay, great. Go ahead and let us know what you'd like for your appeal, ma'am and sir.
Just going back, I hear we reviewed all the points that we had received in the letter. I think the biggest thing is we just purchased it this year for the lower price. The assessor comments don't necessarily make sense for the comparables due to the acre sizes are a lot smaller. They're all 5, 5, and 7, and the lot size that we have is 36 acres. I think that's the biggest thing that throws me off, and we are also farther from town compared to these other ones.
Thank you. I mean, I think your appeal is pretty straightforward if you purchase the property in January. Any questions for staff or for the Stones?
I have a question for the appellant.
Go ahead.
Have there been any improvements done to the property since you purchased it in January?
No, there has not.
Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I have a motion to, given the arm length transaction that transpired on January 4th of 2022 of this year for $325,000, and we cannot be above that market. I'm going to also give them the discretion that we're not at full market on majority of property. I'm going to move that the land value be placed at $299,000.
For the motion, is there a second?
You're gonna run by that again, Commissioner Poppins?
Placing the land value at $299,000. How I arrived at that, I gave a 92% of the purchase price so that we are within safe distance of not being over true market value. Motion fails.
I'll second that.
Thank you for the second, Commissioner Schmidt. Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Motion carries. So you're at $299. Did you hear that?
Yes, I did.
Oh,
Thank
okay. You bet. Thanks for appearing. All right, we'll move
Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to our 450 appeal. No, we're not. It's not 450 yet.
But we can take a 9-minute break.
We can take a 9-minute break.
Are they on the phone?
I thought,
Are they gonna call in?
Yes, they
thought
will.
Jiven was,
No, they're gonna be here in person.
I thought Jiven was coming
All right,
back.
well, we're gonna wait then until 4:50.
Where'd Commissioner Poppins go? You have bathroom call?
I need to get. It's owned by Chris and Michelle Gesling. It's property located at 26942 464th Avenue. Single-family property on 10 acres, approximately 2,291 square feet. We show lower level finish of 586 square feet. We have a current assessed value of $648,229. The local board did lower it to $598,229. The biggest grievance that the appellant has is in land valuation. It is a new construction. What we supplied to the board for this appeal is some land valuation comparables that have sold anywhere between, these are all 5-acre pieces, sold between $46,000 and $49,900. We felt the most comparable to the subject property was a property that sold in July of 2021 for $250,000. It's relatively close to the subject property. We have it currently assessed at $175,150. The subject property has a valuation of $25,000 per acre. Again, it's on the tiered market system or valuation system that Lincoln County has developed. The cost is indicating a valuation between $34,900 and $35,000, so it's pretty close because all 3 comparables were of similar size. The market is indicating a valuation between $46,000 and $49,900.
Thank you. Is the appellant on the phone or present? Carter, is the appellant on the phone?
No, they're
No.
supposed to be in person.
They had indicated they were coming in person.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for staff or a discussion?
But no train blocking them, so they couldn't be here.
Well,
Want to give them 5 minutes?
they're appealing because they say that the wet ground is not worth $25,000 an
Give
acre.
us $50,000 difference, right? Overall,
Well, let's look at it.
from what they asked.
100.
542.
It's
And we have it at
100,000.
648. So it's $50,000 difference.
It's 106,000,
Well, I show up here requested thing at 542,
and they're at 648.
and we're at 648, yeah. So when you subtract the two, what they wanted from what we have it, it's $50,000.
It's 106,000.
106.
How do you figure 100?
I got a
648,
calculator for you here, Joe.
229 minus 542,
598.
229.
Oh, I wrote down the wrong number, I'm sorry, 542.
It's been a long day, Jim.
I wrote down, I don't know why, I transposed the number.
Well, if there's no discussion, no questions,
Oh,
consider a motion.
Considering Commissioner Poppins made all these all day long, and there's no justification to change the assessed value, I would move that we accept the assessor's recommendation.
I'll second.
Sherry, call the roll.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes, motion carries. We are in recess until 6 p.m.
We skipped a few though. I mean, we never did.
Hundred sixty-fourth Avenue. It's a new construction consisting of 2,291 square feet. It is 10 acres, lower level finish of 586 square feet. Our current assessment is $648,229. The local board did lower it to $598,229. The biggest grievance with this appeal is the land valuation. So therefore, the staff's submitted some sales that have sold in the general vicinity of the subject property, especially within the same tiered pricing system. Each of the 3 sales are approximately 5 acres, selling between $46,000 and $49,900 per acre. We felt the most comparable was sale number 3, which was sold in July of 2021 for $250,000. Our average assessment on the subject property is $25,000. The cost indicated our assessment valuation range between $34,960 and $35,000. And our market indicated a valuation between $46,000 and $49,900. We do have a map that shows where the subject property is located and where the comparable properties are situated in comparison to the subject property. We also show some of the comparables in regards to the wetness and ponding on their properties, in which did not affect the sale prices for those particular sales.
Thank you. Mr. Gissing?
Can I speak?
You may. Come on
I
up
don't
to the
think your
mic.
comparable properties are comparable.
You can go ahead and
That's 1 mile
present.
within the radius of T. I'm 1 mile within the dump. Also on my quarter of land, there is a shooting range. An active shooting range, a shooting club. There was actually a sale of land right next to mine that wasn't anywhere near your appraised value. That just happened in November. I don't know if you remember me, we moved, or you guys moved a building eligibility next to my land. So the eligibility itself is $50,000. It was bought from a neighboring landowner. So the price of the land that went for was $7,000, a little over $7,000 an acre for 36 acres. I have all that in my information.
Is it one of the comparables that we used?
No, it's not. I don't believe your comparables are compared. Your number 3 is off a
So
highway.
show us your own comparables.
My comparable,
You can put them on the board up there. There's a,
Right here, right here.
it's right here? Oh, sweet. There you go. Number 1. That just sold in, I think it was November.
do you have the parcel numbers on those by chance?
I sure do. So there's number 1 with the parcel number and who bought it and what they paid for it.
That was a previous appeal that we just heard.
Here's comparable number 2. If you go back to here, it's half mile, quarter mile south of my place. That went for $6,800 an acre. It has 2 building eligibilities on it. 3. So that's a mile from me. I guess you can do the math on that. That has a house on it for that price, but. 4 was the building eligibility. You guys allowed 1 acre building eligibility plot in the middle of a slough so they can move it to the property next to mine, which it is what it is, but it also sets the value of the land. That is the shooting range.
So this property that
Right
we have
there.
385 that sold for 325
You can see mine.
was without a building eligibility. And then.
When you
now
say
that we have
shooting range,
385,
sir, is that
includes
like,
building eligibility.
That is
Separate.
Dakota Benchcrest Shooters,
is that just?
private
a-
shooting
Is
club.
that a skeet shooting, just clay pigeon?
Rifles, machine guns,
They can shoot
they
anything
can
out
shoot
there
anything they want there.
Okay.
They do. Anytime it's light up.
There's no restrictions on that as
Far
to
as I
time
know, there's
limits and
none.
stuff?
When did you purchase your parcel, sir?
I bought mine in 2009, I believe.
Was the shooting range there when you
Yes,
purchased
it was.
it?
That's why I got my land so cheap. Now, the dump is just 3/4 of a mile north of there. You wanna look at my property now, it's full of plastic trash bags and grocery bags,
Been there.
so. So your comparison prophecy, I don't believe is even anywhere close, but.
Carla or staff, do you guys have any comments about the comparables that he would like
got
you
one
to
more
use?
I do.
parcel.
Yeah, I'm gonna let them answer that.
Sure.
And I'm not sure which comparable it is, he took it down, but the one just directly south of his property that had the grayish tone to it, that was an agricultural sale, and we cannot use those type of sales in determining valuations for non-agricultural properties, just as if we don't use commercial type sales to valuation.
Apples and oranges.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So the sale that was in the top right corner on his sales map was a sales between relationship. Hiding
Was that the
out-
number 3?
I'm not sure what number it was. He took
Yes.
it down too fast. But that was a family type transaction. There was a lot going on, splits and replatting and old contract, and there was a lot going on that parcel.
Okay.
This particular comparable doesn't have a building eligibility.
Correct, that states the property of the land value around me.
So the ones, the comparables,
$5,000 an acre.
so the comparables that Mr. Gessling is presenting, you don't view as comparables.
For sure, the agricultural one, no, it's not used in determining the assessment on the residential properties, only for the agricultural purposes. The one,
The smallest,
the
piece of prop-
smallest one was that 50,000, it sold for $50,000, and it was essentially sold for the building eligibility, which would have made that $25,000 sale a $385,000 sale had it sold
Actually, it's the other way
together.
around.
okay, she's got the floor right now.
It would have sold for $385,000 in
And that was not an arm's length transaction.
those, they were indicated on the certificate of real estate values as both arm's length transactions, yes.
Okay.
The 300, okay.
The building eligibility was transferred after the sale. So it was
Okay.
an improvement to the sale.
Got it. All right. Anybody else have any questions for staff or Mr. Gessling? Sir, any last things you'd like to say just to wrap up?
There's another parcel that, or what you guys used as a example, right next to it. I don't have the parcel number with me. But it was the first two here. If you just go another half mile to the west there, not even a half mile, there's another parcel sold there. Was anywhere near those examples. So, I don't know, maybe that has another condition I don't know about, or whatever.
Would you mind showing me if you know of the parcel? I'm guessing you're talking
back
about
up.
this one here, right? Because these are
Bring
the
the
comparables that you're
adjustments
referring to.
right there. Anyways.
I believe staff's trying to answer a question right now.
So that's a split, so we don't have a value on it yet, but we might have the sale.
It was split after November 1, so it's,
Well,
Okay.
The Lincoln County Rural Water bought it. I'm not sure
can you go click on
what the use of this property is. Sure, it looks like it could be a residential property, but
that? They bought it for 146,000,
136.
136.
That's,
How many acres?
why doesn't it show it? They took that off.
Just by looking at it, it was,
And you don't know who the
5,
sale was
6.
between,
I'd have to look at the plat to tell you how many acres it is at this point.
but it was after November 1st, correct? Okay. Any other questions or discussion among the board? If not, I consider a motion.
Commissioner Pop, is there any adjustment for this property located next to the dump ground or the shooting range?
Got a lot of questions, which I'm still trying to come up with a rationale of how it should be adjusted.
Yeah. As the dump ground is truly a mess.
Closer you get to it, absolutely.
Yeah, it's,
I really have no trees in between, or besides my own trees, which collect all the
it's
bags.
it's solid waste material, bags.
You know,
Yep, I'm closing the testimony.
Madam Chair, I'm gonna offer a motion.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna leave the house at the 398,229. I am gonna reduce the land value to 200,000. For a total.
Can you use your microphone?
Yeah, can you use your microphone, please?
Yeah, it helps if I turned it on. So I'll leave the land, or change the land to 200,000, leaving the house at 398,229, for a total of 500.
98,229.
Yes, thank you. 509, yes, that.
Okay, I've got a motion. Is there a second?
Second?
Motion and second. Sherry, we call the roll?
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. All right. Thank you, sir. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
attending.
that wasn't too confrontational, guys.
No, you did great.
All right, we'll be in recess now until 6 o'clock. Thank you.
Let's try our gourmet meal.